with Hewson YT. Tech for content creation.
G'day, this is Doug from Doug Hewson YouTube here, and as always we're here to help you with tech for content creation. And today this is a Q&A style video in regards to a comment I got on a recent video. Well, it was a video we did a while ago. You know, I did a series on moderation on YouTube, particularly moderating live streams. So if you want to check those out, you can check out in the complete playlist here below. We're going to add this video to that live streaming aka moderation playlist. Now, the interesting thing is the moderation on YouTube is its own beast. It's completely different to moderating on, say, Twitch or Mixer or one of the other live streaming platforms. In that YouTube has a very basic set of tools which we covered, as I said, in one of those videos earlier this year. But today we're going to be looking at a Q&A from one single comment that I got recently. I'll show that commenter on the screen right here right now so you guys can see that, but it's a very detailed, so I'm going to basically read out portions at a time and answer off the cuff best I can my opinion on that part of the question, because there's multiple questions. Let me set the scene by just reading some of these right now. It says, "Hi there, great tips for new mods. Thank you for this. I was just appointed as a first-time moderator on one of my favorite YouTube channels. He just made it to 300k subs. So the very first thing I did was search how to become a great moderator for a YouTube channel, and your video was the first that popped up." YouTube search for the win, of course. It says, "I've never been a moderator, so I have just a few questions if you don't mind, sir." And yeah, there's a few questions here. "As of right now, I mostly use my iPhone to view and watch YouTube videos and live streams. Are all mod options available using the YT or the YouTube app on iPhone?" The short answer is yes. You can do all the same timeouts, hide messages. You can also ban people. So all the same attributes are done. It's simply done by tapping the message. The dialogue comes up and you're selecting which one you want. So all that sort of thing in regards to moderation is the same on iOS devices and probably on the Android operating system as well if you're using the YouTube app over on Android. So yeah, you can effectively moderate using the main YouTube tools quite easily. So there's one caveat I had in answering this part of the question was that the one thing you can't do on mobile devices is tagging. Like if you're on a computer, on the desktop version of Windows, you can actually put an @ and start typing the name, and it will actually pop up all the users in chat that match that search query. You can select the person to tag them in the chat. On a mobile device, you have to manually type @ and then the name and get it to match so that it will actually highlight. So it will highlight, but it's a little bit more clunky, but can be done nonetheless. The second part of the question says, "I have a Windows PC and an iPad too. What are the advantages, disadvantages of using one over the other? Which do you recommend?" I pretty much have covered the advantages and disadvantages with that whole caveat that I just mentioned. But I prefer to do it on a computer where I can have the live stream playing, I can watch it. Now I've got two monitors, so I can have it sitting here, I can watch the live stream. I can actually go and pop out the chat to a separate window and expand that to the size that I like to operate that on, and I can keep an eye on the chat there. I can still hear the live stream happening. I can watch it on the screen, and then I can do all the things that you can do to moderate, and then focus on just that chat window as being. I've customized that to the size I like. That's probably the only real advantage to doing on a computer, just more screen real estate really. What would you say are the top do's and don'ts for moderators? Now, that's a really good question, and I'm just going to cover a few things that come to mind right now, but there's probably a bunch of other things that we come across later, and if you think of any that I haven't mentioned, make sure you pop them in the comments below, of course. So the do's and don'ts for moderators, what you want to do is basically get to know the streamer that you're moderating for and what their style is, what the vibe of their channel is, the vibe of how they like to do it. Are they really loose and laid back, or they like to keep a tight ship when it comes to the chat? By the time you get appointed a moderator, you usually have a fair idea because you've been in probably numerous live streams, so you can gauge that. So that's not really a do or a don't, but that's more of a preface for this question. What I wouldn't do is never go too hard on the bans. You want to be very light, have a very light touch on the bans. You only really want to ban people generally if they're being abusive, if they're swearing in a way that is not appropriate for the particular stream you're in, depending on the stream, of course. Some people like to keep it PG, some people don't. It just depends on the streamer's stream that you're moderating on. But generally, I like to keep a light touch, because if you start banning a lot of people, that gets people sort of unhappy, and they take their anger out towards usually the streamer. They try and contact them afterwards. Hey, why am I banned? Why can't I comment in your chat anymore? And then they'll harass them to, hey, can you unban me? Can you unban me? Can you unban me? So I've seen that happen. So I like to gauge the seriousness of the reason why you want to ban them, or the reason why you want to time them out, or the reason why you want to remove the message. Certainly inappropriate stuff gets removed regardless of the seriousness of it. And obviously, you know, whether that escalates to a timeout, which is a 5-minute timeout, or whether that escalates to an outright ban, that's going to depend on really the streamer's desires of what he wants you to do or she wants you to do in that chat on that stream. There's some things to take in mind. So I don't have any. The do's and don'ts are sort of flexible in that way. It's not a very defined list, is it? But that's the nature of live streaming. Different streamers have different expectations, and so you have to adjust your flow. So if you, like me, moderate for multiple channels, multiple streamers, each one has a slightly different take on how they want to do their live stream, how heavily they want the chat moderated. You know, there's probably some more do's and don'ts, but that's all I've got for right now. Let's move on with some of the other questions here. In your opinion, do you think a channel can have too many moderators? Absolutely. What can happen if you've got too many moderators in the same stream? You start and you're focused on maybe timing out people and stuff. There might be something going on, some inappropriate stuff. Now you can both be going at the same message at the same time. Now what can happen is if somebody hits it slightly before you do, and then you go to select it, you may actually select the message above or below, and if you don't realize it, you may apply one of the moderation tools before you realize that it's actually the wrong message. So that's probably the main thing for having too many moderators. And the other thing for having too many moderators would be actually different moderators having slightly different standards in how they moderate. Some moderators will run too far with their own agenda and may go heavy on the bans, as I mentioned before, and things like that. So that's where it's really good for the streamer to be really clear to their moderators how they want them to moderate. Hopefully everybody can toe the line. So when you have a lot of moderators, you can sort of even butt heads possibly on how to moderate a certain message or whatever. But in most cases, if you see what's going on, you'll all get into agreement. Now we're getting into some more meaty stuff. Here we go. Continuing with the questions. Is there a unique way to contact the creator as a mod to ask questions and such? Like, will there now be a contact creator link in the options for mods? Or is that up to the creator to provide that either in the video descriptions or via DM? Can you even DM creators here on YouTube? Because I've seen older videos where creators have said, well, you can DM me here on YouTube, but I've never seen that option available anywhere. Maybe that can be used as an option. Hey, this is a really great question. Currently, YouTube doesn't have any sort of behind-the-scenes moderator talking to the streamer, invisible chat. I think Twitch has something like that, but YouTube certainly doesn't. YouTube's very basic. What I recommend you probably want to do is, if the streamer wants to do that, and that's the way they go, is maybe have a separate Discord server or Discord chat that is just for moderators. Some of the streams that I moderate for, we do exactly that. We have a moderator channel on a streamer's Discord server. So I have that open on the side next to the chat, and so I can talk to the other moderators whilst I'm moderating, and we can be all on the same page. So that's what I recommend, something like Discord. Discord's probably the ideal one. There's probably other ones that are like Discord, but that's the way to go. The DM feature on YouTube and contacting people in the back end has been depreciated now on YouTube anyway, and that was a very clunky thing. It was a bit like sending messages, which nobody ever really used, so it's something that's not really available anymore anyway, and it certainly wasn't real integrated or applied to live streams. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. And it says, sorry for so many questions. That's fine. I love it. We've turned this into a video that can help not just you, but everybody. I just really want to be a good moderator for the channel I watch, and you seem to be the top dog of mods. Well, thank you very much. It just sort of happened by accident. I do moderate for quite a lot of streamers these days. But yeah, thank you for that. Thanks for any info, advice, sub to your channel, so far, seem to know your stuff, and look forward to more content. Well, this is more content addressing that very thing, the moderation. Everybody out there who is looking at becoming a moderator, who is a moderator for a channel, I hope this sort of mini Q&A session was more helpful. There's more information, of course, in those videos that I talked about at the beginning. As I said before, I've linked those in the cards, so you can go check those out. And this will all be together in part of the moderation series or playlist on my channel as well. Well, it's been really good to cover these questions and just sort of spin answers off the cuff without any like pre-thought or planning, just to sort of read the questions and answer them to you. I'm sure that some of you guys have some other suggestions to some of the questions that I just asked, so why not drop them in the comments below like I mentioned before, and let's get some more community feedback in regards to moderation on YouTube. Well, this is Doug from Doug Hewson YouTube, and I'll catch you later.
Subscribe to Doug Hewson YT for more tech or content creation.